I shot him 6 times.
What's going on, horror fanatics? Welcome to
I shot him 6 times.
YouTube Horror Movie Channel. As you know, I'm your host and creator of the channel, Marcus. If you have not done so already, please shoot this video a like. It helps out with the YouTube algorithm a ton. As well as if you're a new viewer to this channel, please shoot that subscribe button as well as that notification icon so you get all the latest content updates to the channel. As well as if you are not a member here to the channel but you would like to become one, shoot that join button that you see on the channel dashboard and choose what level membership best suits you. Okay everyone, so in this video, I'm going to be talking about some Nightmare on Elm Street and Robert Englund. So as we all are well aware, 3 days ago in an interview with Variety, Robert Englund went on to confirm that he will not be returning as Freddy Krueger in any Nightmare on Elm Street Legacy sequel going forward. There has been some talks about a Nightmare on Elm Street Legacy sequel, given all the requels that we have gotten with Halloween, Scream, etc. So, and the announcement as well as Camp Crystal Lake, the Friday the 13th TV show that's going to be coming out on Peacock. So a lot of these old school horror movies are getting refreshed. So one could only wonder and think, could the same happen for Robert Englund's character, Freddy Krueger, and the Nightmare on Elm Street franchise? Well, as for Robert himself, he went on to say in an interview with Variety that I am too old and thick to play Freddy now. I just can't do fight scenes for more than one take anymore. I've got a bad neck and a bad back, and arthritis in my right wrist, so I have to hang it up, but I would love to cameo. Okay everyone, so first off, I want to state by saying, me as a fan of Freddy Krueger, as a fan of Robert Englund and this franchise, I already kind of had the hint going in, if they were to do a new film, that Robert Englund would not be returning full-time as Freddy Krueger. The man is going to be 76 years old soon, guys, so when he talks about having a bad back, having a bad neck, having problems with his wrist, that is very, very relatable because, as we all know, the older we get, our bodies just starts to break down and we can't do things the way we used to as we were when we were younger. So this announcement by Robert is not a big shock to me. I think a lot of people were really holding out hope that he would say yes and do it one more time, which is very understandable. But me personally, I never had the thought that Robert Englund will return as Freddy Krueger in any Nightmare on Elm Street Legacy sequel. Now, as far as a cameo, that is something that I did have some thought of, and actually me and my good buddy Destination Station had a conversation about this months ago in regards to the Freddy Krueger character, that maybe in some type of way of passing the torch to a new Freddy Krueger, if they could write it the right way and it would make sense, then we could get Robert maybe in costume for a scene or two, and then obviously whoever is going to be the new Freddy takes over from there. However that would play out would obviously remain to be seen, but Robert did say he would not mind cameoing, so that is definitely not off the table. As well as it's not off the table just for a regular cameo. You just see his face outside of costume, what have you. So one way or another, Robert Englund, to a very small degree, does want to be a part of the new Nightmare on Elm Street Legacy sequel, but he just doesn't want to do Freddy full-time anymore, and that's understandably so. I understand, the guy, again, he's up there in age, and he just wants to enjoy, whatever time he has left, not having to take as many bumps and, scrapes and bruises along the way as he once did when in his younger days. So I totally understand this decision by Robert Englund not to return as Freddy Krueger in a Nightmare on Elm Street Legacy sequel. Now, a question that I think does remain to be asked now that Robert has made this announcement, and I haven't heard anybody talk about this, is would Heather Langenkamp still be down to return for a final Nightmare on Elm Street Legacy sequel, what have you, if there's no Robert Englund playing Freddy Krueger. Now, she did state back in October that she would like one more fight, with one more showdown with Freddy Krueger. But if it's not Robert Englund, you do have to ask yourself the question, would she have that much interest into returning for this Legacy sequel? I would hope so, especially if they get somebody who's credible. I do think it's very possible that she would return to Nightmare on Elm Street franchise if whoever's going to be playing Freddy is a credible actor to play the role. So whether that be a big name, whether that be a small time name, or somebody in the middle, obviously remains to be seen. But I do think that it's a question that is worth asking yourself, is being that Robert Englund is not returning, will Heather Langenkamp still have the same feelings about doing a Nightmare on Elm Street Legacy sequel as she did many months ago? Now, I'm also going to discuss here some of my picks. Who could be the new Freddy Krueger? Now, the first person I'm going to talk about is actually from a Reddit subscriber or a Reddit poster, whatever you want to call them, by the name, their channel's The Name of Horror, posted by President Weevil, if I'm saying that correctly. And he posted this 6 months ago, and he says, on the subject of people who could play Freddy Krueger, here's my pick, Richard Brake. Now, I initially do not have Richard Brake on my list to play Freddy Krueger. However, I am not against this idea at all. I like Richard Brake. I think he's a really good actor. I think he's a really good character actor. I think whatever role that I have seen him play in, I've been impressed. I know he has played in a lot of Rob Zombie films, so some of you might be like, he's a little too grunge for me. However, I do think that if you give him the right director and the right writer and the right environment to not be as grunge, but still add that element of darkness, I definitely do think he could play a good Freddy Krueger. And if you have watched Richard Brake in his films, he does have a really good sense of humor. So, this is not a bad pick here by President Weevil from Reddit. But, me personally, my two picks are Kevin Bacon and Matthew Lillard. Kevin Bacon being number 2 and Matthew Lillard being number 1. Now, Robert Englund did go on to say in that article, that in that interview, that he would, not mind to see Kevin Bacon take on the role as Freddy Krueger. And I know after seeing some of the comments here over the past few days on other content creators, channels talking about this, some of you are not on board with that. And hey, that's cool. That is your opinion and you're allowed to have it. Me personally, I would love to see Kevin Bacon play Freddy Krueger. I think he would definitely rock it out. After his performance in Hollow Man, I don't know if you guys have ever seen that film, but if you haven't, definitely check it out. I think he would make an incredible Freddy Krueger. I just think, with his veteranship in the acting industry, him knowing how to play certain roles, I think he would absolutely kill it. But that's just my opinion. But my number 1 pick would be Matthew Lillard. Yes, you guys know him as Stu Macher in the Scream franchise. But for me personally, as Freddy Krueger, I go back and I watch that performance of him in Scream as Stu Macher, and I personally think he would be the perfect candidate, the perfect fit. It would fit just like a glove. If Matthew Lillard got the opportunity to play Freddy Krueger and don the iconic glove with the knives on the hands, everything, all that, I think his personality, I think he's one of the greatest character actors that I have ever seen. This guy, when you give him a role, especially when it's a specific role, and delving into the character, to me, Matthew Lillard is one of the best at doing that. He is one of the best at really getting the most out of what his character is supposed to be. And we all know he has a great sense of humor, but he also knows how to turn into that dark side from what we've seen in Scream. So, I definitely do think that Matthew Lillard would make an incredible and even better Freddy Krueger than Kevin Bacon. So, that is my top 2 picks for Freddy Krueger, who would, be the new one to play him. I still would not mind Richard Brake, though. I do like that pick as well. But okay, everyone, that is it for this video. Leave a comment in the comment section below and let me know you guys' thoughts on Robert Englund's comments, as well as let me know, do you think Heather Langenkamp would now be interested in returning for a Nightmare on Elm Street Legacy sequel given this Robert Englund news? As well as let me know who are your picks to play the role of Freddy Krueger going forward, now that we know that Robert Englund will not be returning. Once again, this is
I shot him 6 times.
YouTube Horror Movie Channel. I am your host and creator of the channel, Marcus. Be sure to follow me on Instagram, Twitter, and Patreon. Thank you all for watching.